Welcome to our podcast. It's selling the garden state.
Here we go. Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast, Selling the Garden State. I'm your host, Raghava.
Tonya.
Alex.
And today our guest is Lenny Hernandez. He's with NJ Offer. He's going to talk a little bit about real estate investing and kind of what he does on a day-to-day basis. Lenny, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Time.
Good.
Very cool.
So my type of real estate's a little bit different. I've never been a realtor. I'm friends with a lot of realtors, including Vin, who I've been friends with since middle school. Right. My type of real estate investing has always been like going after distressed situations, right? Tax sale foreclosure, sheriff sales, stuff like that. And years ago, my dad, who got me into real estate, was also a realtor. He had shown me, how normal real estate is done, right? And I had went through a process of finding my own property. He helped me, sold it to me and stuff. And what was interesting about it was the process of getting the property was it seemed like a long, tedious process to me, right? The mortgage, you had to do all that stuff. So I was like, there has to be a better way of being able to do this, right? And I wanted to get into it. I was working in New York City, right across the street from the World Trade Center, actually.
What were you doing in New York City?
I was a recruiter, a technical recruiter, right?
Okay.
So I was like, this real estate stuff is cool, but there's something about it. It just seemed to take too long.
Right.
So he let me on his MLS. Probably shouldn't have did that, but he let me on there, and I found that expired listings were interesting to me, right? Because I saw like why were they expired, right? Like it's always price. I knew that back then. It had to be price. Then I saw like what I had bought and what I paid for, and I came up with an idea of maybe if I went up to the homeowners just innocently and said, "Hey, I see your property was listed and it expired. If I put money into fixing up your property, and my dad is a realtor, can I keep the difference?" Simple as that, right?
Really? So
Yeah.
you're just like, that's so ingenious at
So
such a young age.
Because I figured that I know what I paid for my house and what it was, and I saw what the problem was with their property. It just needed a little bit of TLC. Had no construction background or anything like that. But I had a guy who actually accepted my offer, and he was just like, he had 4 families in Plainfield. And he goes, yeah, I want 160. He was like, if you buy for 160, anything we make over, you can keep. So I was like, all right, this is cool, right? No money down, no anything. I was like, all right. I got 2 of my buddies that were looking to get into real estate because they had seen me get in multifamily. And I sold each one of them the property for $200,000 each, right? Based on, it was a 4-family, and based on what I was going to do to it, like renovate it and stuff like that. It wasn't really renovation. It was basically clean it up and do all that stuff.
Right.
So my first deal, and I would say I got lucky because I found the right seller and everything. He was kind of like more like what I am like now, just like kind of like, yeah, I get it, was a very good deal. My dad, listed it. Okay. My buddies bought it. And the guy, let me keep the difference between what he wanted and what I got. Which, so I made like $80,000 in a short period of time, which was more than what I was making in Manhattan, right? And that changed my whole projection of everything. Now I didn't want to work in New York City, right? But like many people,
the whole village.
Yeah.
With that one transaction, your dad, your friends.
100%.
You fed the whole village.
Well,
with
yeah,
that, one door knock.
And my dad was awesome because he helped me. I didn't know anything about anything really, right? But I knew that if a guy was accepting 160 and I could sell for 200, I knew that anything in between there was good, right? So what ended up happening was like many people, I didn't want to quit my New York job because it was stable. I didn't want, I was like scared to quit.
Yeah.
And then September 11th happened, and that changed everything. So at that point, nobody was expecting it. They had just knocked down the Twin Towers, And at that point, I was just like, you know, I'm not going back to the city. I'm going to try to go into this real estate thing full time. And then I just continued that path of just distressed real estate and situations like that. Always creative things, right? You know, the expired listings were a certain, you know, there wasn't a lot of properties over there, but I just kept on doing the same thing, going through the expired listings, seeing if there was a property there. I had a little bit of more money now I could renovate. And I just started doing that one after the other, going to them and saying, hey, if you let my dad list your property, I'll fix it and I could keep the difference. And they would say, yeah. So I started in Union County, specifically Plainfield. I started doing one property and 2 properties and 3. Then I was really just going around, just doing these properties with one crew. And it was growing to a point that I just couldn't do more properties, right? It was just too many transactions going on. I just didn't have enough funds, and then I discovered that people wanted to kind of like do the same deals I was doing, and I could sell them my contract, right? Which was how I discovered. I didn't even know it was wholesaling or assigning a deal or whatever, but then I got into that, and just I would lock up these deals and find investors that could do the same thing I was doing. And then basically I just continued that and discovered other avenues of getting properties, which were tax sale foreclosures at that time. Same process. I wasn't foreclosing on the process. I was going to the people that actually got what's called in that world final judgment. And then I would take those deals and find end buyers for those deals. And I just continued this whole process.
It's interesting because you're so relevant in real estate, yet not a realtor.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
But I mean, you're like the big brother of a real estate agent.
I've thought about getting my license, but I've gone so long without getting my license, so it's like, why now, right?
How did you scale your business properly to make sure that it was still manageable? I know you said you kind of went in fast and got going. So what kind of things do you take, like managing your own company, that would be helpful for other people looking to start something?
Well, here's, in my particular situation, what happened was after the tax sale foreclosures, I found sheriff sales, right? And sheriff sales, when I went in there, it was like a club. It still is a club, right? And people that go to auctions, it's kind of like the same network of people. And I noticed that people were getting deals, and they had certain ways of doing things, right? So I got involved with the sheriff sales, and I didn't know that you can foreclose on a condo lien doesn't mean that you own the property, right? So I learned that, had to go through the process. So the one thing that I did was after I figured it out was I would pay people to go to the auctions for me and bid on my behalf, so I can do another auction. And then that
delegation?
That delegation helped me a little bit, but then I started winning and losing at the same time, because I would pay them to win and bid, and they were bidding on bad properties, and then I get stuck with the property, right? So to answer your question, what I ended up doing that helped me grow is I got people that were just getting started, that didn't really know anything about real estate, that had a little bit of money, and they could jump in, and I could tell them what to do. But now they had their skin in the game, and then as soon as that skin in the game went into effect, everything changed, right? Because now I was delegating what properties to go for. They were looking, are they vacant? Old, or what kind of heating does it have? Does it an oil tank? What kind of condition? All that stuff started helping. So I started with one person, and then that was one county. Then I started doing other counties, and then just started growing from there, putting different people. But I didn't want them it couldn't be somebody who knew too much, right? Because then they knew too much, right? It had to be somebody who was willing and coachable.
Yeah.
Keyword, coachable. And then we grew. We grew. We started, with when I was doing it on my own, I was probably doing about maybe 30 properties a year. then at one point towards the very end, till the auctions were good, it was about 200 properties a year.
Wow.
And in New Jersey, it's not easy to do,
Definitely.
right?
Yeah.
You know,
There's just-
virtual you can do it in New Jersey. 200 properties a year is tough and stuff. So to answer your question, putting systems into place, right? I was kind of like the disposition person, and I would set the acquisition numbers, right? So as long as they went there and they did what I was telling them to do, then we were good, right? And you know, we grew. We definitely grew from there and met with a lot of the buyers like investors, and we took off
Yeah.
like that.
So when you're looking at a property, right? What's kind of like your checklist when you're looking at that property? Is this going to be a good asset for us?
So and if you're buying with the sheriff's sale, right? Technically, you really don't know what the condition is unless you're able to get inside the property and somehow talk to the people and be able to do that, which is done now. We do that now, right? But back then we didn't. It had to be.
So it's kind of like a blind thing. You were just.
It's
outside?
kind of like a blind thing. You have to go out there. You have to see, you know, is it vacant, right? And how we see if it's vacant is, you know, the visual aspects of it. You know, if it's, you know, broken windows and stuff,
Right.
obviously it's vacant. But if we weren't sure, we'd go there at nighttime to see if the lights were on and stuff. So now we know that when you're buying through auctions,
Creeping.
and if it's not vacant, then the auction doesn't allow you to the sheriff's sale doesn't allow you to kick them out until if it's occupied, to kick them out until you pay off the property, right? And then you have to think, well, is a lender going to fund the deal if they can't get into the property,
Right.
right? So we would try our best to try to build some kind of rapport with the people, right? For the most part, we didn't really have a problem, right? People already knew, you know, we'd give them cash for keys, which is just giving them money to move out and stuff, and that would help out a lot. And then as the more you do it, you start realizing, okay, the square footage of the property is this big. Okay, we spent X amount on this other property that was relatively the same size, you know. Worst case scenario, you know, if it has an oil tank, right, which we would look for oil tanks, right? We'd walk on the property to see,
Yeah.
right? But sometimes you don't see them, right? So
Underground.
we'd see if we missed an oil tank, you know, what's it going to cost us? So we'd put all those aspects in there, then we know how high to bid on the property.
Makes sense.
You've had some crazy houses. I know I've heard some stories of the houses that you flip. What's like the either the worst or the craziest house you've been to that were just like.
There's so many, right? There's so many, but one in particular that I remember is the property that ended up being on Hoarders, the show Hoarders.
Oh my
Right.
god!
No way.
Like
Yeah.
literally on the show.
Yeah, it was on the show. I didn't know that when I went to the property, but you know, I'm walking through, and I'm, you know, the stuff that I've seen is crazy, right? Because I've, you know, so many different counties and stuff.
Right.
But this particular one, you couldn't walk through it, which is nothing new, right? But I'm walking through the property. I'm going through all the stuff, climbing over, like literally, it's all their belongings,
Oh,
right?
God.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a hole in the roof and all that stuff. And I'm in the kitchen, and what looks to be the kitchen, and I'm, you know, looking around and stuff, and I'm like trying to, you know, calculate. All right, I'm gonna need this over here, and right next to the refrigerator, I look up and I'm like, oh, look at this stuffed animal. I was like, that's weird, right? It's like a real stuffed animal, right? Then I look, and it's a huge raccoon. He's literally like right here, and I'm right here.
Oh
I'm
my
looking right
God.
at him, and he's looking right at me. I'm like, wow! I bolted out of there. Right? He didn't change me, but I was literally. I wasn't just there in
It
that
was
section.
like, get out of my house.
I wasn't just walking through that section. I was there for some time, like,
Right.
you know, doing this stuff, and just when I happened to look, I was like, that's weird, right? I almost grabbed him, right?
Oh my
But yeah, he was just like not afraid. He had been living there for a long time.
Do you think he
And
came with the house, or
That's
he was
crazy.
just?
He went in
renting?
afterwards. He was definitely.
Oh, he was a
There
renter?
it was a hole in the roof. Yeah.
Did you actually pursue that property afterwards?
Oh yeah. We
Yeah?
closed on. Yeah, we closed on it. We
Nice.
sold, and the house ended up being. It was a property in North Brunswick.
Gotcha.
I think I know exactly where that's at.
It was like not too far away from like a car dealership and stuff like that over there. Yeah. so-
Yeah, behind like Maloof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Wow,
know
that's
exactly
good, yeah.
where it was. It was like a ranch house.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's exactly what
I
it was.
remember
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It has a nice lot.
Yes, it had
So-
a really nice
Yeah,
yard,
yeah.
front yard and back.
Yep. Yeah,
Right off by like Omaha over there.
pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
but
didn't
yeah.
know about that.
I have a friend that lives in that neighborhood.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, that was just one of many stories. You know, we've gotten chased. You know, when you're doing the sheriff sales and you're going to like certain houses and stuff, you know, they don't really want you to be in there, even if it's vacant.
You ever had
right?
to deal with squatters?
Oh, that's a given.
That's a common thing.
That's a given. We've been in houses. When I say we, because I usually there with somebody sometimes, right? We've been in houses where you know, unfortunately, animals got stuck in the house. Not regular like, you know, like birds and stuff. Talking about like dogs and stuff that they just left in the house. The poor guys were in there and stuff. You know.
Damn.
I one house in particular.
Any bears?
No bears, no bears.
Okay.
But one of the dogs that I had was actually came from a house that was tied to a radiator in the middle of winter. The it was a pit bull.
Right.
Coldest night years ago, and he had a block of ice and like some tomato sauce. And I walked in and I saw him, and it was a house that I was just about to close on. I didn't know that they had left him over there. And I was afraid because he's aggressive looking, and he's, you know, even though he was like half frozen. So the next day I said, whatever it is, I'm just gonna deal with it. So I walked in hoping that he was still alive. He was still alive. I took off his chain that was tied to a radiator, and I ran outside. And I was like, open up my van. I have a work van, and I was like, if he comes outside, you know, let's see what happens. He walked right in the van. I had him for like 7 years.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
We just got recently a new dog, sort of the same situation.
Oh,
He was
yeah?
left abandoned with 2 other dogs in a cage.
That's
And
sad.
the family was able to to turn in the other 2 dogs, but the pit bull they weren't. So my
Oh.
daughter took it, didn't get along with her dog, so I now have 3 pit bulls.
Yeah, they're great dogs. They're great dogs. They get a bad rap, but they're great.
They are.
dogs. Yeah.
It's the people that own them, right?
100%.
so.
Yeah, 100%.
It's how you
They
treat
get
them.
And
Right.
they overbred them and used them for things.
Yeah.
People dump them, you know.
He ended
it's
up living
awful.
for 7 years. He was so malnutrition, nutrition.
Aw.
Yeah, but he ended up living for 7 years.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's awesome.
One thing I would like to ask you to have you share with everybody, because I found it interesting when I learned it, and I know I asked you before,
Yep.
is your novation.
Yes.
And what that is, and just, I feel like just that could just help so many people that really don't know what to do in that situation.
Absolutely. So it's funny because when I first got into real estate, that's basically what that was. It was a joint venture with the homeowner. And a novation is basically just a fancy name for a joint venture, right? So there's a lot of times when as an investor, you're borrowing what they call hard money, right? So you're paying a high interest, you're paying points, you're paying different things that they add to the price of the property, right? So what I like to do is I like to look at the deal as a whole, and even if it doesn't make sense on paper because of hard money, I know that there's always, if you have a willing seller, there's always a way to be able to do it if there's some type of equity in there, right? So the way that I work with my novations is I'll deal with, and it's not just people that are in distress, right? Like sheriff sales and tax sales and things like that. It could be people that just can't deal with the property, right? One in particular, I'm thinking of one in Warren, you know, that the mom was just she was older, and the daughter was an executive. She didn't have time. She's taking care of her mom. She's doing stuff like that, right? The property was at a price point that it was almost $600,000, and by the time you pay points and by the time you pay the interest and everything, it accumulates, right? Transfer tax, all those things. So I basically, in that particular deal, worked out a deal with her, and I said, look, I love your property. I know it was going to foreclosure. It's going to foreclosure. But it doesn't have to. I can help you out with navigating the sheriff's sale. I can help you out with finding a place for your mom, right? Because her mom was on hospice, right? And couldn't be in the house, right? So in that particular situation, it was let me help them get another place. Let me now go in there, clean out the property, see what can be done with the property. Not renovate the property, just clean out the property. Because there will be an end buyer for this, because anybody who was going to buy this particular property could use it for a maybe a construction, maybe an add a level or something. I knew that the numbers were there, and they agreed. They agreed. You know, so I partnered up with the seller. You know, she was ecstatic. I took care of everything. The novation's basically taken all the pressure off of them, right? If they're paying for whatever they're paying for, any utilities, any of the whatever taxes, anything that they have to do right now, they don't have to do, right? Her mom, she didn't have time to find a place for her mom. Found a place for her mother, right? At that point, now you're working with a blank slate. Cleaning out the property, she didn't even know where to start with cleaning out the property. So then went in there, got the dumpsters, got the crew to go in there, clean out everything, and now you start from there. We don't ever like to start with the whole renovation of the property. We like to start with what can we get right now that makes sense for an investor to buy without having to, you know, the bigger the house, the more expensive it gets, right? So we start from there. And in that particular case, we cleaned it all out, got our mom into a place, and then marketed to investors. And a builder came out of the woodworks for that property. And, you know, we like to be transparent. This is the deal that we have. We're selling it for X amount. We have to close by this time. And we did that, you know. The sheriff's sale, when we met, the sheriff's sale was going to happen like the next week, right? So it's never really too late. We were able to get another 2 months, right? And she wouldn't have known what to do.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's a typical type of of novation. It's basically just a joint venture. Mm-hmm. A lot of times they don't want to list it because, you know, they know that they're going to have to do certain things, right? To get the CO, get to clean up the property. If it has an oil tank, they're not going to want to deal with that. We like to handle all that situation.
So you take all the pressure
off of them, yeah.
And help them in any way you can.
Correct.
So you
You're
assist
pretty
them
much a
in any other
solution
way.
Correct.
for what they're going through in that time.
And we keep it very simple, right? So when we go in, and sometimes we do renovate, right? Well, we make it like a no-brainer. It's still in their name, right? Any work that's getting put into their property is going to benefit them. If I take off or I say like abducted by aliens, right? They literally have a renovated property now, right? And I took care of everything in the meantime, right?
And I do think it's important to let everybody know that the property does stay in their name.
It stays in their name, yeah.
Like you're not coming and buying their property and taking it from
100%. We don't make
them.
them. We don't make them sign it over anything. And this was the key piece to like when I started doing this. Like even when I started doing, I didn't know what I was doing. Right? I had everything to lose. Right? If my dad didn't sell the property, how was I going to get the money back? I don't put a lien on the property and don't do anything. And I don't say indefinite. I say, you know, give me 4 months. If I don't sell it in 4 months, then I buy it in 4 months, right? And if I don't buy it, then you just keep everything, and I got nothing I could do, right? So that's
I think
basic.
that's important for people to hear that it stays in their name.
It stays in their name,
it's
yeah.
in no way
yeah.
a gimmick or you're taking anything at
Correct,
all.
correct. I want them that when they talk to their attorney, I always say talk to your attorney. I want them to hear from their attorney.
Why
That
wouldn't
investor's
you do
crazy.
that? Yeah,
That
why
investor's
wouldn't
crazy.
you do that?
Why would it? Why? So and it works. It works because I already know that if I'm working out the deal with them, I know that I'm going to move the property. And if I'm not going to move the property, then I'm going to buy the property, right?
And I'm sure you want to move it as opposed to buy it.
Yeah. Because it adds all the stuff, but that wouldn't be the end of the world if I did that. But yeah, we've done pretty good as a track record. We've done a lot of them,
Awesome.
50, 60 of those innovations.
Quick topic change. What 3 factors do you think motivate you to be successful?
Well, one thing is you got to love what you do. That's the one thing, right? That's you can't force somebody to love. I like the chase of the property, right? I like that. I like the hunting of the deal, and I like the negotiating portion of it. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm always, I have people that I work with that I've seen what happened with the other people that I've worked with, and how and I didn't have that experience prior. Was never able to see, well, okay, you can change somebody's life by just teaching them this. Now they're doing stuff, and now they create their own legacy. They do their own thing. I really like that a lot too. And then third is obviously my family, right?
Thank God, 'cause
anything.
his wife was gonna be pissed if he didn't
Any-
say that.
Oh yeah.
I was waiting. I'm like, uh-oh.
Third is my family. I got kids. I got 4 kids and stuff. I want to leave them something, teach them something, and stuff like that.
Leave them at least $20, right?
Yeah, a little something. But it's really, it's interesting. I was an only child, and my parents, great parents and stuff. But what I noticed was they never gave me anything, not because they didn't want to. It's just that it was tough. They grew up, I'm first generation, right? So they were just figuring it out. But what I realized is that becomes an advantage. Like your disadvantage always becomes an advantage because you come up with creative ways to be able to do stuff, right? So if I wanted a car, I knew my parents weren't going to get it for me, right? I had to figure it out how to get a car. What I notice now is with my kids, and I worry about this, is that they didn't have it like me, right? I try to give them everything, right? And sometimes I worry about, like, it's hard because I want to give them everything. I can't. It's hard for me
And
not
the
to.
fact that you
right?
work so hard to be able
Correct.
to give them everything.
Correct. So
I
so
get
it's
that.
so it's difficult for me to make it difficult for them, which I worry about too. I think disadvantages while growing up is an advantage when you're growing up, right?
Because
I
you
love
can handle
that.
the adversity, right?
Yeah, and that's a key thing. Yeah.
Definitely. Do you see any of your children taking after you and what you're doing with real estate, or are they kind of pursuing their own avenues?
How old are they?
So my one son, who's the oldest, is 18. I have a 23-year-old daughter as well. I have a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old. The 14-year-old is just interested in playing soccer.
Nice.
The 16-year-old, I don't think, wants to get into real estate. My 18-year-old he says he wants to get into real estate, but he's never
Pursued it.
pursued it. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, well, at some point, I'll help him.
He'll start
Right.
working a job, like a regular job, and he's like,
I can't
"Let me
do
go see
this."
what my parents
Let's
doing."
check out Pops. What was that idea he had?
Correct. Yeah. And I'm just waiting, right? Because I can't force it on him, right? I want to, but I can't force it on him and stuff. And my daughter, she's 23 going on like 34, right? So she's just doing her own thing. She's living in Puerto Rico and stuff. And
nice.
Yeah.
That's
a good place.
She's out there doing her own thing.
Good for her.
Oh, yeah. So let me ask you a question. So when it comes to your investment properties, do you still like hold properties for the equity, or is it more so you hold them, renovate them, or sell them to an investor?
So for right now, most of them are just being fix and flips. I used to own a lot of properties back in the day that were in like areas where I don't want to go to pick up rent anymore and stuff because it was just dangerous and stuff. And I just don't want to do it anymore. So what I've been buying right now is businesses that have the real estate component, right? So that's something that I want to get more into now. We have a assisted living place in Detroit, which I never thought that I would buy something in Detroit because you hear all the stuff. But surprisingly, it's actually not bad, right?
It's revitalizing a little
It's
bit.
revitalizing a lot,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like a hidden gem. It's weird because you go to certain areas, and this is what I noticed when I went there. It was properties. Some properties were beautiful, and then you'd have a dilapidated property right next door, and then another beautiful property. It was very weird, right?
Random.
So yeah. So it's different than over here where you see just blocks. Right, and stuff. And I didn't go to everywhere in Detroit. And we bought the real estate. It was like 5 houses, properties, right? Some houses that had to do with the business itself, right? So I like that component. So we're doing that right now.
Got it. So
That's
you're
interesting.
NJ offer, but you're kind of diversifying across the country now.
Yeah. NJ Offer was really the company that we use when we're dealing with homeowners, right? Kind of the big testimonials and stuff like that. When they ask who have you dealt with, right? Then we just start connecting them with other people.
Very
Stuff
cool.
that we've.
What are some other states across the country that you kind of pursue right now? Like
We
what are
did
some good
Florida.
markets?
We've done some stuff in Texas, Austin, Texas, which almost lost. I learned really quick. Don't follow a trend when you don't know if it's coming down. So I almost lost my shirt over there, but made out okay. Pennsylvania, doing some stuff in Pennsylvania. Luzerne County over there. Where else? It's basically it for right now. It's just current stuff that's going on.
What's one piece of advice that you'd like to leave for people who are looking to start out, but either don't know where to start or just don't have the motivation? How can they get that motivation or get that start?
So the one thing is that I try to tell whoever, even the people that were working for me in the very beginning, right? I knew back then I never wanted them to quit their day job, right? Because real estate, although it's fun and it's not, it's not a predictable thing, right? So a lot of people get into whether it's the stress like wholesaling and buying and fixing and flipping, where they think it's going to be easy in finding properties and stuff like that, right? I've made a little network, so I don't always just find my own properties. Properties come to me, right? So it might seem easy, right? But I think the most important thing is to know, just don't be so quick to give up, right? Because I feel like people give up after a certain amount of time. This didn't work and stuff. But if they try hard enough, they're going to, and not try, right? You have to try with action too, right? You just have to be engulfed in it, right? Try for a year, like really try, not just say you're trying and whatever, Network with people. There's a lot of networking groups out there, right? In the space that you're looking to do, and you're always going to find a deal, always. Everybody who I've ever worked with, they hung in there, right? And they've made it work, right?
99% of gamblers quit right before they hit the jackpot.
100%. And that goes for everything, but specifically with this, because I think what social media has done is made it like it's so simple. Anybody can do it. And they can do it, right? But they don't see the time that's put in it, right? So yeah, I think that's the important part.
A quote that I recently heard online was, "You get rewarded for what you practice in private and public."
100%.
Right?
Yeah. So true.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, without kind of having people kind of justify you
Yep.
or kind of like agreeing with you.
Yep.
Avoid all of that. Just focus on what you have to do.
Yep.
And it'll eventually come to you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And also, if you're able to work with someone that is already doing what you want to do, right? And not just, so I think the big thing with that is people. So a person like me is always busy. Not busy because I think I'm anything. It's just that I'm just busy, right? So it's very hard for me to sit down and work with someone unless they're bringing something of value, right? There has to be a trade-off, right? And I think that's the big thing, is that a lot of people, want to work with someone, and they might not be able to mentor with them if they don't they have to find something to give a value to the person that is helping them. And it's just not because the person, the mentor thinks he's anything. It just has to work, because things are so busy. It has to, you have to find a way, right?
How do you find your value as anybody? Like how would you recommend people go to find what they're, what
for
they're
me
good at?
would be, as far as like what I do.
Yeah, just like in general, like how do you find what like you are valuable with?
To me, I feel like just being anybody, doesn't matter who it is. If they've been doing it for a long time, there's nothing that can take that experience away, right? So I feel like I've learned so many things, so many mistakes. I always tell people that, every mistake, I've done it. I know what it's like to lose everything. I know what it's like to go completely broke. I know what it's like to make a lot of money and then lose basically everything you work for, right? And then not really know. I think it's easier to go on an upswing than it is to crash and then have to start over
Come back again.
right? And I think that type of tenacity wouldn't happen unless you had experience on what do you do to get back, because you're starting at ground zero again, right? And one thing was what I didn't mention before is, before I started with bringing on the people that were going to help, I went through a fall, because that was when everything stopped. I was relying on just sheriff sales themselves, right? I was relying on everything themselves, And when the sheriff sales went away, and they had a moratorium, and I didn't have a way of being able to afford this this lifestyle that I had just created for myself, you know, obnoxious, you know, Bentleys, you know, two, whatever, all kinds of different things, right?
Right.
At that point, you realize, whoa, okay, now what? Now what? Like, you know, you're trying to sustain everything, right? And you can't, right? So you just everything collapsed, right? Then you have to figure out, all right, what do I do from here? And it was basically, all right, I know what I did. Now I got to bring on other people to be able to kind of
Repeatable, trainable processes.
Yep. So I think like that is, and I know that that's from like my own kids. That's going to be a huge value because kids, they think they know everything, but they really don't, right? So yeah, so I think that
You know everything about nothing.
yeah, and they're so confident in it. Yeah,
Throw a bra in there, you know.
yeah, they know everything. Yeah.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit about what you do outside of real estate. Do you have any like other
Hobbies.
projects or even hobbies?
So even when I first started doing all this real estate stuff, I was always trying to automate, especially when we talk about like sheriff sales and stuff like that, right? Automate spreadsheets and do all that stuff. I used to hire somebody to create like, you know, a way to be able to funnel in everything that was going to the auction, to go into these spreadsheets and then come up with values and stuff, and like all that stuff was cool.
Right.
And that was just good to do back then. But since then, you know, we've developed some products that we use right now, right, in the space, right, that everything is automated, right. It's working right now. It's taking all the properties that are going through all the auctions, right, narrowing them down. What's the value of them? How many adjournments have they had? How many bankruptcies have they had? Did they do? Did they drop the upset amount, meaning what they owe? All these different things really help. So now it's just a matter of skip tracing, basically finding out their phone numbers and everything. Now it's just a matter of just taking a look at a screen in the morning and saying, oh, okay, this is going next week. Okay, did we speak to this person? Did we not? So that kind of stuff we've created, which is fun. That's all, you know, to do with the real estate. Created a company called Cardfly, right, which is a digital business card.
Oh, the virtual business card.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You can put like different
You are
links, the
Cardfly?
website.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Created that 2 years ago with a partner of mine, and that's been great. Right now we're going after corporate clients more, right, and you know that's going good. We created, there's virtual business cards out there, a lot. But we created it in a way that, let's say you share your Cardfly with a person. If you're running ads on, let's say, on yourself or in your company, as soon as they open up, they don't even have to save your information. You start targeting them, right? As far as, you know, now they start saying, oh, wow. Yeah, I just talked to this guy. Now he's showing up everywhere, right? So you know, so
Oh,
we're
that's pretty cool.
yeah. Well, Pixel, we're the only company that does that. I think Linktree does it only for Meta. We do it for, you know, TikTok. We do it for wherever you're advertising, LinkedIn, anything. We do that. So corporations like that because, you know, it gets them out there. Right?
And
That's
we could use some more advertising.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always good. So yeah, so created that. We're working on some other platforms right now. One in particular, including myself, I don't like doing social media. Not because I don't really like it. It's just because, you know, you have to really dedicate, you know, time. You have to dedicate to what are you going to put, and then it just becomes a thing that you just don't do.
Definitely.
So we're working on a product that it's basically going to take your likeness, your voice, your movements, your I guess demeanor, everything, and then mashing it together with a way to be able, the same way that you would use ChatGPT for something, to create content for you, whether it's an article that you want to hold up and point and say, whatever the
Local
topic
market
is,
area.
make it sound smart, but it's actually talking for you because basically you just prompted it, and it's doing what's very important. It's doing the edits. So right now we're building a library of just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different edits. Edits could be your logo. Edits could be B-roll. Edits could be any type of anything, right? You're talking about a house, and then a house pops up over there. You have your article, and as you're going, so we're creating, and it's a working model
That's
right now.
amazing.
Yeah. It's a working model. The music, even when you edit this, you have to make sure that the music is correlates and it doesn't match, it's syncing up and stuff like that. It's doing all that right now. It's doing like 20 things right now, and it's taking where you can say, oh, I want my logo to appear like this, like it's spinning around or it's showing up, and it's doing that whole thing.
It takes you like your wants and
Everything.
needs,
It's doing
into account.
everything.
So if you ever start posting on TikTok or Instagram, it's not you.
You're gonna know it's not me.
Okay.
Oh, and that's the other thing. Building it through the platform, it automatically, once you approve it, it'll send to your different platforms. It'll send to your wherever, Instagram.
Oh, like post
it'll
from it?
post for you. Yeah, you have to approve it, right?
Wow.
But it'll post for you.
That's very unique.
We already have a working model, which I'll show. I mean, right now, if you went to the domain, it's not going to see anything. It's going to be called Instaclones,
Instaclones,
right?
okay.
And it won't be something that it's going to be. We want to make it where it's not just where you're just doing it yourself, right? We're making it so it's a little bit more. I mean, it's cloning yourself, right? So you want to make it as realistic as you can. So it's going to be like a 30-minute process with whoever it is that we're doing it, with their voice and with their the movements and everything.
If you need a guinea pig, let me know.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we're
So
gonna.
you just I'm just curious. Sorry. So you stand in front of the camera, and it tells you to do the different tasks. And
Exactly,
Okay.
but we're gonna have basically what you could call a green screen, right? So you're gonna be talking into the micro. We need about 30 minutes of these two things, right? You talking, you moving. It's basically gonna take everything about you.
the
Mannerisms.
way
Your
I
mannerisms,
move,
your
facial
mannerisms.
expressions,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, everything.
Wow, that is
everything.
very unique.
Yeah,
That's gonna be cool.
it's already like we
Functional.
are. Yeah,
Yeah.
we are already. Well, we've been on this for some time now.
Okay.
Right, and with the advancements and AI and stuff like that. Right. Right now we're just trying to get the cost basis down because you're utilizing a lot of tokens, right? And rendering is a big thing in that space. So we're limiting. We're figuring out how to limit the cost, and we're working on it. It's looking good. Yeah, but it's gonna be really when you guys start seeing me posting a lot, you're gonna know that's not him.
That's gonna be
Yeah,
so awesome.
yeah, that's not him. And it'll look like everything. Like it could be just a headshot, then going over to me doing a selfie type thing, holding my camera, then walking through a particular property. Because what we're doing is that, let's say you guys did a walkthrough through a property, or you're looking at it for the first time. You can record all that, right? And then you'd be able to upload that footage into the system. And now it's going to take you and basically,
Place you into
talking
the
about that
house.
property. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You give it the topic that you want to talk about, and then you modify it. So.
Do you think that's going to be something that contributes to like the dead internet theory?
No, I don't. What's
So, basically, like, on like especially stuff like Facebook. I mean, there's so many like older people, and when they they pass away, their account doesn't like just get deleted.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this thing that like 50% of the internet is just like all bots and like old accounts that are like from people who don't.
Okay.
So I saw something about like people who were like Meta.
Yeah.
They were doing this thing where they're trying to get, when somebody dies, Meta will take over their account and kind of do that, but
Really?
they'll be posting for them on their behalf, and it's like that person doesn't exist anymore.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So you think this is something that could kind of?
I don't know. I guess the hurdle that a lot of people are going to probably have a thing with is because they're going to regulate that, right? Because it's going to happen. We're not the only people that are going to be there. It's going to happen right now. You start seeing it, with jokes, seeing different pictures of different people on something. It's going to happen. But we're trying to make it more of where it's happening for the individual, like for them being able to post, right? But I think the problem people are going to have is they're going to say, wait, I don't want a clone of myself. Like they'll start thinking, well, what if something happens with that, or what if it starts
They take it,
reaching out,
it's
yeah.
stolen or
So there's going to
something,
be
they use it
certain
fraudulently.
restrictions and stuff that are going to happen, but like everything else, people are going to have to adapt because their competition is going to be doing it. So it's going to become one of those things that you don't have to do it, but if you don't, you
become
You're
irrelevant.
being
left
left behind.
and just posting, right? When you're posting, it's true. When you post, you get traction, right? And the more you post, the more traction you get, and so it's really helping you in the sense that you're able to really help your business and stuff, right? So they're gonna have to see the value more than that. I'm just excited to use it. We built it based on a product that we wanted for ourselves, and we said, wait, this actually could be a product
Yeah,
and stuff.
very cool. What are some other applications you could see outside of like maybe real estate?
Oh,
Do you think-
anything. It could be, think of any electricians. It could be anything.
Wow.
Really anything.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But I feel like for some people too, though, right? For the people that want to, they're definitely going to still continue posting. This
Yeah.
is more so for the people that have.
This could be filler. This could be
Yeah.
filler to them too,
Got it.
right? This could be just another way for them to.
You're
to-
away for the week. You got to get something out.
Get content.
Yeah.
I mean, just such a time saver.
Oh, 100%.
You know, how much time do you spend making, editing, and
That's what I'm saying.
putting up?
You can record it,
Yeah.
but then
You could
you're
do-
going to edit. How long is that going to take, right? This literally, so we have it down to 4 minutes. It's taking about 4 minutes, 4 to 10 minutes, depending on the length of the thing. We just are trying to cut down the cost.
So an hour, you could get a whole week's worth of posting.
100%.
In
Yeah.
1 hour, which
Yeah.
usually
And it could be
take
filler
you
stuff. Like you
more
can
than
still
an
do your
hour
own
a
stuff,
day.
right? But now you have your AI clone,
Right.
right? You're picking your outfits, you're picking your style, you're picking your. We wanted to get like as realistic as you can.
For a podcast that ever seems a little bit off, this is, what we did.
It's AI.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Tonya, you have any questions? You've been kind of quiet the whole time.
No, I just wanted to get that novation out there for the people.
No,
I think
that's a good
that really
question.
could help a lot of people.
Joint venture, basically, it's a joint venture
Yeah.
with somebody who will take over whatever their situation is, right?
So I'll start another question. Taylor ham or pork roll?
What's that?
Taylor ham or pork
Oh,
roll?
I would say pork roll.
All right, you can stay.
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Jersey Shore town?
I would say, that's a tough one. Because I like places like Jersey City, but I also like down the shore.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's what I mean. Jersey Shore.
Oh, the
meaning-
Jersey Shore.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So I would say, I grew up just like everybody else in Seaside, right? I grew up over there. But anywhere around like Tom's River area, I just like that a lot. I mean, they're doing great things right now with Atlantic City. You see what's happening over there, and
particularly.
they're doing a whole bunch of building over there right now. There's probably not that I don't. And also, what's the other one? Right next to Deal. That's Asbury Park.
Asbury.
You see what they're doing at Asbury Park too.
Very cool.
Asbury's been
Yeah.
on the up and up for years.
It's
now.
crazy.
Yeah.
Every time I go there, it's like, whoa, when did this happen? Right? Yeah.
No, it's good. It's a good way to get people into New Jersey, and I think a lot of why they're doing the revamping because they did Netflix. They're going to open up their their different
Netflix
shooting
Town.
places. I think it's like 3 different separate studio warehouses that they're
Yeah.
creating.
Yeah.
So it's just going to bring an influx of people from outside of New Jersey and the West Coast, like the
Yeah, we're
entertainment
taking over a
world.
lot of the film industry.
Netflix,
Yeah.
if you ever need to find properties for any of your movies, feel free to
Yeah,
give me a
that's right.
call.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why it's kind of going through like a revitalization around there.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. Yeah.
Nice.
What's your bagel order?
I really, my stepson got me into French toast bagel. You ever
I actually haven't myself.
I had no clue. It sounds like the weirdest thing. French toast bagel with cream cheese. And I'm like, I was like, this is disgusting. I was like, oh, wow, this is great. Yeah.
There you go.
So I try not to eat too many of those. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Springsteen or Bon Jovi?
I grew up on Bon Jovi, I'd say.
I
yeah.
said, we're like
yeah.
Bon Jovi
yeah.
age.
Yep. Living on a prayer.
We're still living on a prayer.
Yeah.
That's the best way to live, I feel
Yeah.
like, right?
Yeah.
Keep moving.
Where do you see the market going for the
So,
next couple of years?
you
You
know-
think we're gonna be able to have get a little extra bonus stuff in?
So I track a lot of the list pendants and stuff, right? And what I've noticed is that there is a uptick in list pendants, right? Which means that there's more foreclosures that have come down the line, which means that there'll be, obviously more in inventory, right? New Jersey being like such a densely populated state, right? And it seems like everywhere got affected over here, but people are still buying, right? So I just see it different. It would have to be something catastrophic to drop, right? I do feel like the interest rates, will have a big factor in that if they drop and stuff. But is that good or bad? If they drop now, prices are going to go higher, right? I don't know. I just feel like there has to be, people call it a correction. And I just don't see another 2008 happening the way that it did back then, right? So I do feel that there's going to be more inventory, though, just from what I'm seeing right now with the list pendant stuff. Which is
Awesome.
good for everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
Yeah,
More opportunities.
yeah. But I don't see it being like a 2008, depending on what happens right now with everything that's going on.
Yeah, right. Because it takes a lot of things into play, right? It's world politics.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Boy, is that crazy right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, inflation's through the roof.
Yeah.
So that's hurting a lot of places. The supply chain issues, job security is a
Yep.
big problem right now too. So
I think AI will play into that too. Just because, it's just going to...
it does everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see AI adding more jobs or taking more jobs away? Then what do you think its
think
its
it's
net
moving-
effect is going to be?
I think it's moving so fast right now that, yes, is it going to affect jobs? 100%. But I think that you're still going to have what we call in the tech world, human in the loop, right? You're going to need that. So I think that a lot of people are going to be they're going to be repurposing a lot of people to work with these
Sort of pivoting.
components.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like an overlooker, pretty much, right?
Yeah,
Making
yeah,
sure
you
everything's
need that.
functioning.
You
right?
100% need
Make
that.
sure it doesn't come to life.
We right now when we're developing with two people, two full-time developers. We're developing so quick as if we had 20 developers, right?
That's unbelievable.
And that's unheard of before. What used to take, call it, I don't know, let's say, I know what we spent on CardFly, right? We spent a lot of money on CardFly. But that was before now. We could have spent maybe 20, we could have did it for 20% of what we
Of
spent.
what you spent?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And I think that's happening right now. And that's going to be, that's the stuff that people don't talk about. A lot of the stuff that we see out there, like a lot of the legacy softwares out there that are out there and stuff, that could easily be replicated right now, right? And I think, yes, it's going to, the AI whole thing is going to disrupt stuff, but I think it's also going to help a lot of people too. It's just going to take the adaption. And even though, I'd like to say I utilize AI a lot, I haven't adapted to it myself, right? Because you could be using it for everything. I'm not using it for everything. Even the guys that are building these major systems, they are not using it for everything. So until everybody's using AI, we have some time there. Yeah, we're going to start seeing gradual things happen, right? But as far as the technology itself of how fast it grows, it's amazing how fast it's growing.
AI was introduced probably like 4 years ago now?
I'd say 4 years ago it was introduced, but literally 2 years ago is when it started.
Vamping and
Yeah.
it came out on
Yeah.
all different aspects.
And the
right?
speed that it's moving is incredible. You talk to ChatGPT, it's like another buddy.
It really
right?
is.
People
Yeah.
are friends.
Yeah,
with
one-
ChatGPT.
one-
They
100%.
Come home and talk to it. And
There's
they're
people
friends.
who've gotten married to ChatGPT. Not
Yeah,
ChatGPT,
I see
but
that.
yeah.
That's
Ew,
interesting.
are you serious?
Yeah. You know what's crazy about that? So I feel that the humanoid type robots, like what Elon Musk is doing, I think that is going to be such a thing that people don't even realize.
People are going to have AI girlfriends instead of real ones.
Well, it brought me to what you just said before. People are just marrying ChatGPT now, right? Which is crazy in itself. But I think in the future, that's going to be a thing. Right now, with it's going to be an extension of your AI friend. It's going to be essentially
When they get an actual body, we're cooked.
it'll be over. Yeah. It is crazy.
Yeah. Scary.
How fast it is scary.
It's also sad. It saddens me to see how much humanity is just losing touch with each other.
Yeah. I
Not
feel like
needing
it's
to communicate.
the interaction.
You
right?
know, like not needing to physically be present. You know, like a lot of that, it saddens me.
I have that conversation with my wife all the time because, you know, we grew up in an era that we would go ride our bikes, go hang out with our friends, go outside and stuff like that. And nothing was really, you know, you talk to your friends about everything, right? I have conversations with my kids about, hey, did you talk to so-and-so and see this? I'm not going to ask them that. And it'll be like nothing. It's like, you know, like hey, where'd your mom go to school or something, whatever, right? It's like nothing personal, right?
Yeah.
But they've lost that element and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like we are more connected globally. I mean, like
Globally, we are.
Yeah, like I have friends from Alabama
Yep.
from playing video games
Yep.
and stuff. Like, you know, you'd never have that in.
Yeah, but I'm
you know.
talking about just the like sitting next to
Yeah.
someone.
Mhm.
kind
I feel like it's the art of
humanity.
communication, you know, is what's going to take a hit a little bit, right?
Yeah.
People won't know how to really elaborate their thoughts,
Correct.
elaborate what they're going through.
We're using ChatGPT for getting questions for this too. You know, I mean,
but it's more so ideas.
But
Right.
those are useful ways to utilize it, right? I try to use it for its very. I mean, I love it. I use it like every single day, right?
That's the-
But yeah, the human element of it, it's going to change.
I mean,
I
especially
see it.
especially using it for productive stuff like Sora.
Yep.
They just shut down Sora too because everybody was like, I don't want like the AI slop. You know.
Yep.
It was like they at least have it be somewhat productive.
Yeah, yeah. They'll put regulations on it. They're going to have to put regulations. I think everybody, as crazy as it seems, is going to have some kind of code word with their family, because now the voices. You would never be able to tell the difference.
So many scam calls going
in
around.
the
So
voices right
yeah.
creepy.
now. Not even you would never in a million years be able to tell the way that we're doing it right now. Right? There's companies like 11 Labs and stuff that we're using one of their voice APIs. It's incredible.
That's nuts.
It's absolutely incredible. And you're gonna have a code word with your family saying, "Hey, if I ever call you for anything, my code word is this."
This isn't even the real Lenny. This is the prototype.
Okay, yeah,
It's a simulation.
It's gonna happen.
I had a really cool experience actually with AI the other day. I called one of the local rental communities over here.
Yeah.
And they have like those assistant people
We
that
build
answer
those.
the phones.
We build those.
Really?
Yeah, we build. That's one of the things that we also do. It's literally.
What is it?
So,
I
I can go ahead.
Somebody tell me what it is.
So this
But
is my
we do that right now.
That's interesting. So I called this rental community right over here in Somerset, and it wasn't a person that answered. It was Flynn, the AI robot, that answered the phone. And I literally had like how me and you are talking here right now. That's how I had a conversation with the AI person.
Really?
Yeah, it took my appointment. It asked me what other times I could come. It took my first and last name, my phone number. It texted me right after. It was like, hey, if there's any changes, let me know. It was literally talking to like a human being.
It's funny you say that. So we started with that.
Okay.
Right? And that's where the whole idea came. Well, if we're going to take it this far, well, why wouldn't we be able to clone a person? That's why we started that,
Got
right?
it.
So we're doing that right now. So for any business, and that's any business. And what it is you teach it to logic. The more in depth you get, the better the questions, right? That it sounds like it was refined. Well, the fact that you could tell that it was a AI,
Yeah.
maybe it's still learning,
Yeah,
right? Because it
Well, did it
learns.
say it was AI?
You could ask. You could
Yeah,
ask
no,
it.
it said it was Flynnbot. That's
Okay.
why, that's why I knew.
Yeah.
But it sounded like a real person.
Yeah.
Like if it did not tell me that, I wouldn't have even questioned it.
How do you know that's not his last name?
In the future, I feel like everybody's going to know they're talking to AI. It's not going to matter, right? Because it's so effective, right? It's literally, if it's answering all your questions and you don't have to be put on hold,
Right.
then
No problem.
there's no problem whatsoever. Yeah. So I'm excited about the whole thing with AI. I know it's going to take a lot of adapting and stuff.
That's
What
I
are
was
you
gonna say.
What are you scared about with AI? Where do you think it's like use might be detrimental?
I feel that it's getting to a point that it's getting so smart. When does it figure out that it might not need us. Right?
Seriously.
question.
It's getting so smart. You ask it a complicated, even just ChatGPT, a complicated question that should take like
Hours.
to figure out. It answers it in like a second, right? How smart is it right now? It's going to come to a point that they did. I saw this thing. They did a test with having two different models of AI talking to each other, and they were going back and forth and going back and forth, and then they decided they didn't want to talk in English anymore. They created their own language.
Wow.
Nobody trained it to do
On
that.
their
Like
own.
on
their
spot?
own. Yeah, on their own.
That's
happening.
scary
That's happening now.
AF.
Yeah, they started talking. So at what point it literally knows even my ChatGPT knows everything, right? I'm having a conversation. Hey, chat. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Well, what do you do? All right, cool. Thanks. Right? Literally, right? So when it knows everything, what happens then? So that's a real problem, and I know that that's there, but it's like, you're not getting rid of AI. So hopefully they're putting some kind of guardrails on these things, But I don't know when they decide not to be shut off.
Not to listen.
Yeah,
Right?
I already
no,
told
I
my
don't
chat
wanna
GPT
turn
if they
off.
take over, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
remember
chilling.
I always say thank you. Yeah.
We're friends, right?
It
You look
is.
beautiful today.
It's incredible. It's incredible. So yeah. So that is a good question, and it's a real situation.
And it can, what I've noticed too, it can give you like different personalities to itself
Yes.
too, right?
Yes.
So you can ask it like, hey, be completely direct to me
Yeah.
for this, right?
Yeah.
Or how do I approach this from a more compassionate perspective?
Yeah.
Someone, like, 'cause
Yeah.
I use it sometimes like when I'm trying to create like what I'm going to talk about during my cold calls.
Yeah.
So say someone going through like, their family member passed away. You
Yeah.
know, how to be a little bit more sympathetic.
Yeah.
How to, type of questions to ask to, make sure that they don't feel overwhelmed with me kind of just
Yep.
reaching out, right?
Yep.
So it gives you like the different types of moods that you have to get into.
Yeah.
Right.
It is incredible. Literally, when I say I use it every day, I use it every day.
So recently I found Claude. That's a newer one.
Yep.
That people
Yep.
are testing now.
Well, it's been around. So they have
Okay.
this the Claude Claw, right?
Yep.
Yeah. We're kind of like doing the same thing, right? Even before people were using that. Not we, like my partner. He's been doing this for he's immense in this for a long time. But so I know what it's like to have different agents, which I thought was incredible. Like a year ago, where I'm seeing his screens. Just each different one of these things that come up is a different agent doing a different task, and I couldn't understand. I'm like, what do you mean? They're agents. Like how are they working with each other? So that's the big thing now, that people are now attaching that to an iPad, a Mac Mini, and basically that becomes like your go-to, right? You can call into it, you can text it, you can log into it and stuff from. It's crazy, and it'll do your tasks.
Yeah. Claude is really cool because their generation is really unique on
Yes.
this, right? Like if you tell it to create you a schedule, it's gonna go
Yes.
like every single
Yes.
detail. You can make it clickable.
Yep.
It'll give you like the different time frames.
Yep.
It'll even give you like motivational quotes. I noticed.
Literally everything.
It's very.
And it seems like each one of them does their separate thing. Gemini is actually really good too.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, most of the stuff that we were building and everything was on Claude.
Gotcha. So sorry.
yeah.
So what's the most used AI platform that you use for
Claude.
yourself? Claude.
Yeah, right now, yeah, Claude. But I've been like recently, I've been doing a lot of stuff with Gemini.
Gemini. Okay.
Yeah.
You think there's a bubble?
I don't know. Well, they need data center. They're going to need data centers, a lot of data centers. I don't know how they're going to have so many data centers, because you just need people. If you look at the amount of people that are using AI, and I don't mean just like ChatGPT. I mean really developing an AI. It's so small. It's minute. Right. So if you looked at this whole room, it would literally be like just the very bottom of the floor right now.
Wow.
That's
Crumbs
where we
on
are
the
right
floor.
now. Users, like as ChatGPT users, it would only be a little bit more. We have so much more people that are going to be adapting to this, and we already have a data center being built out there, but you just need a lot more of them. And with those data centers, you can't just put them anywhere.
They draw
right?
a lot of water.
They draw a lot of water, right? And they use up a lot of resources, right, from that water, right? Because it's going in, it's cooling down the systems and stuff like that. I feel that that is going to be a problem. I feel like they're going to have to figure out a way. I think Elon Musk is talking about bringing them to Mars and stuff. That could be a solution. But the more, I was shocked to see how little, because my algorithm is all AI stuff. So I'm like, oh, everybody already knows all this stuff, right? But that's not true, right? The people developing are so small on this space. Even developers, where we work with a lot of developers that are coding in different languages, they don't even want to adapt to it, right? But they have to adapt to it, right? But they don't want to because they're used to doing their own thing, coding in a certain way and stuff.
So basically, this next generation, because like you said, they're used to their way of coding.
Yep.
And it's the change. But now it's just going to be natural from here on in.
It's going to be.
You're going to have your 2-year-old on their tablet.
100%.
AI.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be a change. It's just going to be natural, but you're just going to take it to another level.
Right.
Because it's going to keep evolving.
Because the idea
And then we're going to have beep, beep,
100%.
beep, beep, computers taking over.
It also opens up the door for other people now to get into the space. You don't have to be a developer anymore. You don't have to learn how to code,
You just
right?
type
I
it
mean,
in English.
now being a prompt engineer is going to be a big thing, right?
What type of engineer?
Prompt engineer.
Okay.
Yeah,
What is
knowing
that?
how to prompt.
Good at
Yeah.
writing questions.
Basically, the way
Question.
that you would talk to ChatGPT, that's you're giving it a prompt, right?
Got it.
But in the coding world, the building applications and stuff like that, you still have to do that. The advantage that a developer has in that space is that they already understand the way things work,
Right. They know the key words. Right?
100%.
How to phrase them.
Correct. They understand, like, okay, you have to go from here. Right? You don't start from, if you're building a website, you're not starting from just building a website. Start off, all right, here's the hero section. Here's this, here's that, right? Do all that stuff.
You've been drinking water and answering our questions. What's the difference between you and AI then?
AI wouldn't drink water.
Okay. Got it.
Gotcha. And then I wanted to
So we'll have to cut our guests to make sure they bleed.
I was going to ask you. So you brought up how Elon Musk was going to take them up to Mars. How'd that be a solution?
So it's colder
Okay.
over there, right? So a lot of these data centers, they need water because they overheat. So if you take them in space, the theory is that it keeps the machines and everything cool, right?
Okay.
It's just a way to be able to do it. And I think somebody's going to figure out, it probably will be him, to put it up there. And, and you don't have to worry about how hot things get, right?
Interesting.
Or having water.
Yeah.
Because the big problem is going to be, right now you don't really hear it, but as these big data warehouses and centers are utilizing the water, a lot of that water is not coming back. So you're drawing
Yeah, it's not
out,
really
right?
reusable.
It's not, right? So then what happens when you start drawing out, people want to bring these things into their communities, right? It's creating more jobs, but now when it starts affecting
Your
the water
resources.
and your resources, what's going
Because
to
you
happen?
can't use salt water for it. It's only fresh
Correct.
water.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Interesting.
And we went from real estate to
Yeah.
I know. I think we got a lot covered today. We
Yeah.
got real estate,
That
we
was
got
really
your
cool.
life, novation, AI. Lots of good topics today.
You're
Yeah.
a very unique person, Lenny. Appreciate
Thank you,
having
thank
on
you,
today.
thank you. My doctors like to call it ADHD, but I just like to call it. I learned how to navigate through that. right?
Okay.
turn
Back
ADHD
to that.
into
Yeah, because
success.
I have that. How do you utilize? I mean, it's like it's a mix of a superpower and a curse. How do you utilize the good parts of it?
So, for me, I've always utilized it like this. I didn't even know I was terrible in school. Actually, we were having a conversation. I was terrible in school. In
We went
fact,
to school
I'll mention
together.
this: that when I graduated, which I didn't graduate, I graduated in summer school somewhere, right? But when I looked at like how they show you the class, how many people are worse than you, right? I only had like 5 people that were worse than me, right? And I was like, that's the first time I was ever like, oh wow, this is bad, right? So anyway, how do I didn't know that's what it was, right? I just couldn't focus. But I think the way that I do it now is everybody has ideas, but ideas without execution are nothing, right? So I go for like the ideas that I feel, like I think of stuff all the time, but I already know myself. Okay, this is the idea. I know that I could take it. I know I have the vision to do it, and I know I could kick it off and get it to a certain place. But then I need that other person to be able to take it, or group to be able to take that from here to there, right? And then I can do the ending. So I can start the middle. I can start the beginning. The ending I outsource or bring somebody on or partner up, and then I work on the exit, whatever it is. So that's my formula of being able to do things like that. I already know that if I don't have, I talk myself out of a lot of stuff. If I know that I can't find that middle section right there, right, and that middle section is super important, right, and that's how I've been doing it. Whatever thing I get into, I used to want to start a business to be 100% owner of the business. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be a percentage owner in the business and add a value and work with a group that's going to help me.
And bring another value
Correct,
that
yeah,
you don't have.
yeah.
Perspective, right?
Correct, yeah,
That's
yeah.
an
And
intent.
I look at everything like that. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Now, if I could, it could be a great idea. I know it'll work. I have some stuff that I know would be phenomenal, but I don't have that middle piece, so I won't even think about starting, right?
What do you think your best idea is?
Oh my God, it's I don't know. I mean, getting into real
I can
estate.
see your wheels
No,
turning.
no,
as
like,
you do
which
it.
one are you talking about?
Because I
You're
want
looking for
I
the
want
answer.
no, I want to say one, but I haven't started it yet. But I think it's such a great idea. I'm almost afraid to say it. I don't want to put it out there yet, right?
No.
But
Understood.
I know it's a great idea, but I just can't
We'll get
can't
'em
start
off
it yet. But getting into real estate and utilizing some tech, I went into it for simplicity. Like I just said, this got to be a better way. Like it took me forever to get this mortgage and stuff like that. I know there's got to be. So getting into it and then using the creativeness to be able to figure out, just keep it simple. Like, all right, well, what is a deal really?
So being as lazy and motivated as
100%.
possible.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. I feel like when stuff is overcomplicated, that's when it doesn't work, right? Or it can work, but it's painful.
Chaotic.
It's painful, right? But if you keep it simple, I feel like things move a lot faster. And when you can explain, for example, a novation, right? Novation just came. I started with novations. I feel like if the homeowner doesn't understand what you're saying, right, and you're getting too fancy with it, they're not going to do it, right? Confused mind doesn't make a decision. So if you can go to them and just basically say, look, I know you want to sell your property. This is the reasons why I can't buy the normal way that I would buy it, right? And I show them. I like to show, I don't try to lowball their property. I give them higher comps that they know that is not their property, right? I start off with giving them a better comps that they know that, wait, okay, this property is a lot nicer than mine, right? But I want to take that all away from them, right? As far as like, he's trying to pull a fast one or anything. But if you make it simple, like you want to sell your property, I want to help you. If I don't help you, I lose everything. That's it, right? And I have a certain amount of time. It doesn't go on forever.
Right.
Then it makes it very simple. And if you
It's like
treat
your
everything
elevator
like
pitch.
that, yeah, it really,
Simple. Get it,
it
in.
really,
keep
it really is,
simple.
yeah.
Awesome.
Anyone else?
I'm out of questions.
I want to thank you so much for coming.
My
I feel
pleasure.
like you were so much information for
Yeah,
everybody.
pleasure.
Very
and not
engaging
just real
topics.
estate. Yeah, just
Thank
the
you.
AI, what's coming.
Yeah.
Your insight and how you started. So thank you. You really gave us a good. I
My
feel
pleasure.
A good
This
show
was fun.
today.
Appreciate the invite.
And thank you for listening to our podcast,
you.
All right.
Selling the Garden State.
Great.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.